Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and let's talk about American Airlines, this massive behemoth. In one way, I'm really sad to see so many people lose their jobs with this company, but also at the same time, I'm sick of seeing these massive monopolies that are essentially extensions of the government point a gun at taxpayers' heads to use the taxpayer as a piggy bank for their lack of their own ability to do a good job, and they lose sentiment because they don't do a good job. At the same time, a lot of this is due to government intervening and causing a bunch of problems for them. As this article out of CNBC says, American Airlines to cut 19,000 jobs when federal aid expires in October. This is almost an extortion racket we're seeing here out of Zero Hedge here. It says, American Airlines warns administration, keep bailing us out, or at least 19,000 more jobs are gone. So we don't want to see 19,000 jobs gone, but at the same time, we can't have a bunch of taxpayers who have already been bankrupted, lives destroyed, half of them unemployed as it is, get robbed more to fix another company's problem because the government caused this problem in the first place. These big behemoths of state, really, that we call these major airlines are now demanding money. Why can't the free market work and replace these old, worn out, old guard airlines with better, cheaper alternatives that aren't just price fixing with all the other companies at the same time? It's infuriating what we're witnessing here, and I'm going to get into this and more in this video, but first make sure to hit that like button, share on social media to get around the shadow banning, and of course join our newsletter at www.iambanned.com. Join us on the new social media networks, Flote.app, of course, BitChute, LBRY, and Minds, as well as we are leaving YouTube only posting trailers to our full videos on YouTube after November 5th. Remember, the 5th of November, my friends. Also, we are completely viewer funded, so check the links below for ways that you can donate in GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, Bitcoin. You could pledge on Flote.app. Many ways that you can help keep independent media alive, as we are completely viewer funded and completely demonetized by YouTube. Anyways, getting back to this, as I mentioned out of Zero Hedge, American Airlines warns administration, keep bailing us out, or at least 19,000 more jobs are gone. And at the same time, we have companies like Lufthansa, who've basically become an extension of the German government, who are demanding all this money as well. And, you know, the government's buying up equity. We're seeing similar things with even the small businesses in Britain, where we have all these people getting loans from the government due to the government shutting them down and destroying their businesses, destroying 81% of independent restaurants by the end of this year and putting all these people out on the streets. The government's now trying to take equity for the debts owed. It's like the IMF or China or the US lending money to Central America or Africa or a place like that. Is basically fascism. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. And as this article says, with air traffic still completely refusing to believe in the recovery and renormalization that stocks appear to be convinced is just around the corner, which I disagree with, America's airlines are becoming more and more dependent on liquidity for survival, and rather than face the market consequences of years of re-leveraging, they appear to be upping the rhetoric to pressure Washington into more bailouts. Of course they are. They are dependent on that. They've been spending like crazy, like usual, expecting the government to throw a bunch of money. And by that, I mean taxpayers to be stolen from, extorted, and pushed to the curb. As it continues here, it says, today's example comes from American Airlines, which will confirm today that it will cut 19,000 workers if federal payroll aid expires as scheduled on October 1st, capping a 30% workforce reduction since the coronavirus pandemic began to torpedo travel demands. And by the way, all those people end up out of work, and what happens to them? They end up not spending money into the economy, going on welfare, ending up completely dependent on the government, again, exactly where the government wants them. So in a way, it's good for the government for all these people to be out of work, but it's bad for an election. And at the same time, it's good for the government to be able to own up all these airlines at the same time. So it's really hard to say which way this will go, because it's beneficial in all ways. With that said and done, October being right before the election, I don't think the Trump administration wants 19,000 unemployed coming out of there, though millions and millions and millions are unemployed. And we're also facing what looks to be 9 out of 100 people homeless once moratoriums expire. 28 million people in the United States. That's almost 1 in 10 people in the United States ending up homeless, where the U.S. government will probably just take the homes from the banks who repossess the homes and then give them out for free. So like 10% of the country's homes are owned by the government, which is ownership of private property. So that's where the communism comes in. So then you end up with, and it's a big government program. Everyone praises the government. Thank you, government, for giving me homes, even though you've pushed me out of my home in the first place. It really comes down to fascio-communism, Chinese style, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right now. I'm not going to go through the whole letter from American Airlines. You can find it on zerohedge.com at the headline, American Airlines warns administration, keep bailing us out or at least 19,000 more jobs are gone, which you can Google. But anyway, the point is, what we're witnessing is a buy-up of all these corporations. People always say, oh, the big corporations are the problem. Well, they are a big part of the problem. They're incorporated with government. So they're a big part of the problem. But with that said, these big corporations are propped up by the government in the first place. They are dependent on the government to survive. They go to the government for help, or else they go under. The government props up bad companies, and they come in under the guise of stopping big monopolies. The left is big on this one. We need to stop big monopolies. We need to come in and save all these small businesses by regulations, taxes. What does that end up doing? Well, of course, we know that, most of you know that are watching this, that leads to more monopolies. So, for example, you have these big companies, these big corporations that can deal with these regulations, can deal with these taxes, are happy to even support it, and are a big part of funding the initiatives to get these taxes and regulations pushed forward. And then all their competition goes under, and they get propped up as a bigger monopoly under the guise of stopping monopolies. That's Orwellian doublespeak in a nutshell, my friends. The exact opposite of what actually happens. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is bliss. War is peace. And that is what we're witnessing right here, my friends. That is exactly the motive that they have at the end of the day. They want to create this notion of helping when they're actually hurting. Because if people dare to realize that the free market is more efficient than government by a long shot, it's not everything, but it's much more efficient, then we would see these companies, the big monopolies, go under to a great extent because of their lack of caring for their customer, their lack of actually providing a good product. I mean, we would have been so far ahead into the future at this point if the free market was allowed to actually operate on its own, and we'd have much cheaper airfare. And then on top of that, inflation. The amount of inflation that we're dealing with going forward, we're going to see inflation run hot, as the Federal Reserve has been talking about. So what happens then? The price of living goes up. The average person can't afford anything. You take that away, you take the taxes and regulations away, you peel away at it, and everyone has much more money in their pocket. There's much more diversity of income and of employment. There's a lot less control. People are healthier. I mean, everything ends up better. In fact, the most important part of the actual idea of capitalism, which we don't see today, is competition and innovation. That's something we don't have today. People keep saying their arguments against capitalism is, well, where's all the great innovation? Well, the innovation went out the door when the government started regulating everything to death. That's not capitalism. That's fascism. That's corporatism. It's not the same thing. And that's why we need to put our foot down and say enough is enough of this. We need to be more free, live by example, and start building and innovating and creating and competing on the market for the best product for the lowest price possible, which is good for everyone, including the company, its employees, and the people who are the customers of those companies. It leads to a greater amount of wealth being spread across the board. We'd actually see wealth spread much better than at gunpoint. I'm called greedy because I believe people should work hard and do great things and innovate and make the world a better place. But the people on the left that say that I'm greedy think that their ideas are so good that they need to point guns at everyone's heads, bankrupt the nation, and force things on us. If that's not greed, I don't know what is. Again, back to the concept of Orwellian doublespeak. That's what we're witnessing, and it needs to come to an end now. But it only comes to an end by you, the individual watching this. You need to be free. You need to lead by example. You need to break free from this system. You need to decentralize. The whole idea of freedom is responsibility. You can't have one without the other, my friends. And this stuff needs to end. So, am I annoyed that we see things like American Airlines asking for money from the government? Yes. Do I want to see 19,000 people go unemployed? No. There's no good side to this. But the problem is this is a mess created by the government, where the government comes in as a solution to themselves. That's a Hegelian dialectic of problem reaction solution. And it needs to end now. We're seeing that in Britain. We're seeing that in Germany. We're seeing major airlines go down. We're seeing a lot of the small business competitors get wiped out of the market with all this. And it's not the coronavirus shutdown. It's a government shutdown. The government created this. The government created the problem, and now they want to come in as the solution. They are not the solution. They're never the solution. You are the solution. You are the change you wish to see in the world. Anyways, I appreciate everyone watching today. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change, and check those links below and hit that like button. I appreciate it, folks. My friends, it is go time. We are completely demonetized on YouTube, and we depend on the viewer to stay alive and spread the message of freedom and truth. So check those links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, anything you guys could do to help keep independent media alive helps enormously in helping spread this message to the masses. So make sure to check those links. Donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen or below. We really appreciate anything you could do to keep us alive. You could check those links below for Cointree as well, where you can find other cryptocurrencies that you can donate and keep WAM alive. Find us on flote.app, flote.app, as well as BitChute and LBRY and Minds. We're on all the other platforms. We are leaving YouTube soon, so make sure to find us at those sites, because it's the only way we can keep talking to you, the masses, the great people that actually care about the future of free humanity. Also, join our new newsletter at www.iamband.com. Anything helps at this point, guys. We need to support free information online. This is the most difficult time in our history, and it takes a lot of hard work to keep our message alive in the face of great evils that have taken over the propaganda news on television as well as on YouTube, where YouTube decides what you can or cannot see. We need your help, my friends. So I really appreciate anything you guys can do. Check those links. There's many ways you can help. Until next time, though, thanks, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Wow.